resolution that you guys voted on the beginning of the project to accommodate Westcom being able to be added to that tower site. And it's actually, this is just the final proposal came in. The costs are actually less than what the original thought was on that one. And then the second one is some of the fire department vehicles. The radios we ordered were that were part of the contract, were just regular dash mount radios. Some of the vehicles have some size constraints as far as where the mounting can be done. So there was an option to do remote heads. The dual heads would be like in your ambulances, where the radio would be in the back of the ambulances also. We had a lot of discussion. All the fire departments originally were discussing doing this. When it came down to the cost, there was only one fire department that decided to pursue this, and that is Hartford. And they would be getting 3 dual heads and 3 remote heads. And the cost for the difference between the radios that the county purchased and what they're upgrading to would be passed on to the city of Hartford. And they are understanding this, and they know that they will be billed for this amount.
Do we have a resolution or an agreement in writing? I don't say that because I have anything but pleasant thoughts about Hartford or any of our other entities. I just know that historically in this county, we've done a lot of handshake deals over the past, and sometimes those deals don't work out. And then I
have an email trail to this effect between myself and the fire chief, and then him sending me what they're wanting with the understanding that the city would be responsible for it. If we need a formal agreement, I can definitely try to get that from them and pursue it, but it should be in the minutes of the city council from September, from August, and it should be in the email trail.
Sorry. I'm going to defer to our legal counsel, and I will say that with respect to the change order, the second change order for 7785, that if we pass that I would make it contingent upon a written agreement between the entities.
The updated amount Doug sent through this morning, $6,381.66 is the amount for the Hartford Fire Department.
It's going in the right direction. Okay. But that's not because I have any issue with any of our municipalities. I don't. I just think that when you don't put things in writing or have an agreement where both sides have an understanding, things sometimes change, things sometimes get wonky, and then all of a sudden we're left and we have an issue. And so during at least my tenure here, I want things in writing. I want resolutions signed before we do deals so that we all know exactly where we're at and what our expectations are, so that there are no questions asked in the unlikely event that an issue arises. Okay. That's all I got. Any questions? Do we have a motion on the change order?
Okay, so I might not have picked that up, but under A, how much is that change order?
Change order for Norwalk Westcom, change order number 5 is $43,768.
We got that, and then the B, whatever it was, Hartford's gonna reimburse us?
Yes, $6,381.66.
That's what they're gonna reimburse us?
That is the understanding.
Okay.
And that's
I was gonna make a motion to accept the change orders for A and B.
and I'll make a friendly amendment and a second to have B be subject to a resolution or an agreement regarding the memorialization of the return. And the only reason why is because it's an upgrade. some of the other fire departments looked at that same possibility and realized that, hey, this is going to cost us real money. Some of them made the decision not to do it. Hartford made a decision to do it with the understanding that they're gonna pay us back for it. And so as long as that's in writing, an agreement in writing between the entities, then that's my friendly amendment and second.
I consider it to be a friendly amendment.
Okay. We have a motion, a second.
Cook,
Aye.
Scholl,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 8, consider resolution requesting reimbursement from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund with possible action.
This is the CARES Act funding that went to the state that is now, has been released to the cities and to the counties. One of the requirements for the CARES Act funding is that the Board of Supervisors pass a resolution, and I'll read the resolution. I did speak with ISAC, and the requirement, ISAC believes that what needs to happen is every time that we submit for reimbursement on the CARES Act funding, that there be a new resolution that matches the submittal. So this resolution is for our expenses between March 1, 2020 through July 31 of 2020. The resolution is a resolution requesting reimbursement from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund, a resolution by Warren County to request reimbursement for eligible costs related to the COVID-19 public health emergency from the Iowa COVID-19 Government Relief Fund. Whereas the United States Congress approved the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security CARES Act to provide economic relief related to COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas Governor Kim Reynolds allocated $125 million of the state of Iowa's CARES Act funding to local governments for direct expenses incurred in response to the COVID-19 emergency. Whereas local government funding reimbursements may only be used for necessary expenditures incurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, were not accounted for in the current fiscal year county budget, were incurred during the time period of March 1, 2020 through December 30th of 2020 and have not been reimbursed from other sources. Now therefore be it resolved, Warren County requests reimbursement, and this number changed, $463,768.66 in eligible expenditures in response to the COVID-19 public health emergency from March 1, 2020 through July 31st of 2020. Be it further resolved, Warren County affirms that the above requests for reimbursement follow all formal published federal and state of Iowa guidance on how the funds should be spent, and understand if the reimbursements are misrepresented, the local government will be liable for any applicable penalty and interest. So that's what the resolution speaks of. So what we have on our first request, we are eligible for, let me get my note here, 500, Warren County is eligible for $652,486.32 in funding is the amount that's been allocated for Warren County. This initial request includes the attorney's office request for $82,474.17 in reimbursement costs for software and technology that they used for purchasing temporary courtroom infrastructure. And then it also includes, through the CARES Act, there is the ability for counties payroll costs for public health and public safety employees for services dedicated to mitigating or responding to COVID-19 public health emergency. As a matter of administrative convenience in light of the emergency nature of this program, local governments may presume that 25% payroll costs for public health employees and 25% of payroll costs for public safety employees are payment for service substantially dedicated to mitigating or responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. So the larger number included in this is $381,294.49, which is 25% of payroll costs for our public health and our sheriff's department from March through July. So that is what the request to the state is for on this initial request. The next request is due, I believe, October 1. For August and September is due on October 1, so we'll come back to the board for another request for a resolution approving that submittal. So that is the resolution, and the amount was the $463,768.66.
This is Doug, I would move the resolution.
That was really quick, Doug. She was talking big numbers and CARES funding, and you were right there.
I was right there.
Yes, you were. Motion.
I wrote it down.
A motion and a second. Go ahead.
DeCook?
Aye.
Scholl?
Aye.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Motion carries. And I want to take a moment here and tell Megan and our attorney's office and everyone who worked on that, thank you. That's a significant amount of our budget, and a lot of work went into that. And so, fingers crossed, the check has not arrived, but it sure seems like going in the right direction, and thank you for your efforts on that. All right, number 9, consider zoning department remodel request with possible action. Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm here to ask for permission to look into a remodel request for the zoning office to tear out our closets in the zoning office and put in cabinets with a countertop and a service window to the hallway to serve the public.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
We had discussed this at the last meeting, hadn't we?
We did.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
during
thank
the
you.
work session.
I don't think that it was up for possible action during the work session, and so we can certainly discuss anything when we have a quorum, but if there's not possible action attached to it, then I think legally we probably shouldn't have taken action, and so our zoning director is now coming, requesting permission to utilize some closet space to do some construction to the outside of our office. And I think there was 2 bids on it,
Yes.
13 and 15?
Yes.
Okay.
The bids were the same, weren't they?
The same, for the same work?
Yes.
Yes, same work, yes.
Okay.
Local bids?
Yes, one was from Capital City Construction, which he's done a lot of the, he was the lowest bid at $13,790. He's the one who's done, Doug, did he do the work in your office?
I don't think so. Yeah.
Pete Clendenin. He has Pete Clendenin has Capital City Construction, and I know he did the work with, the engineer, the assessor's office, he's done the attorney's office, so he was the lowest bid. And then we have one from Dittmer Construction from Pearl, Iowa, and that was $15,550, so.
Okay. And as far as budget, is this maintenance budget? Is this zoning budget? Any idea on where the 15, are we looking at CARES funding at some point?
I have a request into the hotline as to whether or not it would be covered under CARES Act for, say, later in the year. We have until December 30th to claim all of ours, so as long as the work was done and paid for by then. However, I have not received a response back as to whether or not that specific project would be eligible directly. So I would anticipate doing, it would need an amendment through, we don't have it in our capital project budget.
Yep.
We didn't
Yep.
put any of that in there. Needing an amendment
So there's
for the general fund.
there's a possibility and perhaps a likelihood that it could be reimbursed. We don't know that yet, and
Correct.
the CARES hotline is probably swamped.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I got it.
So I don't have a good answer for that. I do know we do have funding coming to the general fund for what we're requesting reimbursement for, which changes what we had imagined, what our fund balances were going to look like come the end of the year.
Indeed. Okay. Any additional questions or concerns? Okay. I'll make a motion to provide, I think all we really need to do is provide permission. I don't think the funding aspect will
Right.
sort it out, but I would certainly provide the go-ahead to do the zoning department remodel.
For the
Second.
lowest bid,
What's that?
for the lowest bid.
For the lowest bid, yes. And we have a second from Supervisor McIntyre. Okay, roll call.
DeCook,
Aye.
Scholl,
Aye.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, consider request from the 5th Judicial District to require facial coverings in all public spaces at the Warren County Court Facility, including but not limited to lobbies, hallways, courtrooms, bathrooms with possible action.
Turn this over to you, Doug.
Okay. Last week, a discussion was started among the court, whether they could start requiring masks in the hallway at the court facility. Presently, masks are required inside the courtrooms, but not in the common areas. So there was a discussion between the chief judge, the state court administrator, and other local judges, and I was included in that discussion. Their thought is that because we haven't given authority to the common areas to the court, that it's a local decision. So that's why I raised that last week at your work session and asked that it be included today. It's completely a board decision at this point, because even though we had given them authority earlier with regard to whether they kept the building open, not open, what their rules are only gonna apply to the courtroom. We have set the rules as being in the auditorium as masks are required, because we've considered that
The whole courtroom.
the whole courtroom. So when they entered the building, when they entered the administration building through the southwest entrance, there are masks there that are provided by the court, and it is an expectation that people wear masks inside the auditorium if they're there for court. So this would be an extension to the common areas in the court facility. There is concern from some whether we would then all of a sudden pick up the responsibility to provide the PPE or mask. I don't think we would be. I think if we wrote it that a certain way to give them the authority to do that, then they would still provide masks. They're providing masks if people enter the courtrooms. So by extension, we could say, if that's the rule that you want, you provide the mask for the common areas.
Is there a time duration they're looking for? Or did our earlier you read our earlier resolution at that work session, and it seemed it didn't have a lot of specifics. I don't feel like.
There was no time.
Okay,
Yeah, so it would be open-ended. We could go back and
sure.
change it at any time.
Just rescind it if we needed to next year or whenever. Okay. All right. Any questions or discussion? I'll add two things. One, I felt like our work session last week was helpful in that it brought up some other things that are now before us today. I just think, not that I'm overly in love with multiple meetings, but I did feel like we're now coming full circle on some of those issues that were brought up. So I think maybe going forward, at least for the near future, while we're dealing with lots of things, I think maybe might be my plan to have another work session next week. Two, I don't think technically we're mandating masks at the court facility. I think from my perspective, we're turning over what's effectively most of the court facility to the leadership and direction of the courts to make sure that now they do all of it for this period of time. And so I'm not naive. I think that they will probably do a mask mandate, but I'm not saying that it's us doing a mask mandate. It's letting the courts operate as they see fit. And so I am supportive of it. I'll
Do you wanna put, I'm sorry to interrupt,
to put a date on it.
do you wanna say through, let's just say through the end of the year?
Through the end of the year was gonna be my follow-up, and then we'll reassess it, start of the next year. We'll have a new board member, next year, and so January 2, won't be 1, 2, or 3, whenever we reconvene, at the beginning of the year, we can look at that and see how it's going. So my recommendation would be to allow the 5th Judicial District, to use their discretion, including if they so choose to require facial coverings in all public spaces at the Warren County Court facility, wherever they see fit, through a period not to exceed the end of this calendar year.
Is that a motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
And a second. Any discussion?
Schul,
No.
McIntyre,
Aye.
DeCook.
Aye. Motion carries 2-1. Okay, supervisors report. Supervisor McIntyre.
Thank you. Okay, of course, oh goodness. Last week, I was able to go out with our 911 director on address field work, as well as we had an impact governance and directors meeting. We also had an IT multi-jurisdictional user meeting and a safety committee meeting, as well as a special workshop about opening the building. And that is, well, I had it's a state health services educational meeting that I've been doing for the last, well, it started in January of 2020. And because of COVID, a couple were canceled, but they've all been online. So anyways, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Scholl.
Yes, I would defer until September 15th, and I'll give my report.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Next board meeting.
That's correct. I'll keep mine really short. Also attended the recent meeting, attended an urban planning meeting in the city of Cumming last night. Mostly focused on, I guess there was 2 meetings, but I attended the first one, the Middlebrook Agri-Hood. And I will tell you that it was quite impressive. Did get to spend a little bit of time looking at some plans and some documents in advance, and also learned that they are hosting Friday PM get-togethers out there with very open spaces, music, and some food. And I hope to attend one of those in the near future, but I've heard nothing but positive things about it. Also intend on doing a Heel House tour this week. Worked on scheduling that. It didn't work out yet, but I see that they're having an opening relatively soon, and I look forward to getting there yet this week, and so I'll get that on the calendar. A personal win for the county from my perspective. I drove on 80th Avenue today with markings on it, and I don't know if it's officially open, but the road closed signs have now moved and it's marked up. You don't see speed signs, but it drives really nice, and make sure you obey the speed signs when they're up, because it is a heck of a nice road, and I'm pumped about it. And then lastly, I'm going to give a little bit of credit to the Carlisle Wildcats. I attended a football game against Norwalk last Friday night there, or part of a football game, and Carlisle looks like they're the real deal. Norwalk played well. The scoreboard did not look pretty. Way to go, Carlisle. And then I'll also give a plug to Indianola, who hung with the 7-time state champs Dowling for most of that football game. And I don't care who you are, seven state champs in a row for a big school like Dowling or Indianola, that is difficult. And so I think Indianola has something really special. And I was gonna tell Supervisor Scholl if Norwalk would have pounded Carlisle, that we would have a friendly wager on the Norwalk-Indianola game for maybe the employee Christmas party or some charity or something. But after seeing what I saw, I am gonna keep that powder dry, Doug. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Okay. Public input. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual. Board will take no action, but we very well may do so in the future. Is there anyone from the public who would like to provide input?
Yes, my name is Noel Isaac. Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, my name is Noel Isaac, ISAAC from New Virginia. It's a whole other state, I think, from Indianola. We would like for the Board of Supervisors to consider a petition that we have in circulation right now. The petition involves permitting the use of ATVs and UTVs on all county maintained roadways. Given you guys will also take into consideration traffic on certain roadways in the northern part of the county. The petition currently has close to 400 signatures on it, which started this last Friday. The petition has been provided to the county attorney for their review. It mirrors that of which is in place, Ordinance 51 in Webster County that passed in 2018. It has the backing of the Sheriff Voss, and the person he's running against, Deputy Carrico. It has the, I don't know if it's got the backing of the entire DNR, but the local conservation officer supports it. We would like to seek guidance from the Board of Supervisors on the actual process to do it. And we know that the county is also in this current 5-year review. So this is a good time to start the dialogue and try to get this passed. There's, I know Warren County is the largest small county, according to what I learned last week. We have 630 miles of gravel roads, where they have 870 miles of gravel roads in Webster County, 170 miles of paved roads, and they have 312 miles of paved roads in Webster County. We also have 68 miles of dirt roads. The problem is if I don't have a bucket of corn in the back of my side-by-side, I'm not using my ATV on the gravel road or even a county highway to go get fuel, I'm in violation of Iowa Code 321, the way it sits. There's thousands of these side-by-sides and four-wheelers across the county. We feel that this would liberate a lot of people to get out of the house a little bit more than what they are, or at least do so in accordance with the law. It would also, I've asked Polly Glasscock for some statistics on every time you buy a side-by-side or UTV, it is registered immediately, but we don't know what the renewal rate is versus the registration. So all that is covered in the ordinance petition that we provided. And I sent that to all three of you, plus the county attorney. And I sent it to your email. I don't know if you've got it. Got any questions for me?
During the public, I will say, Noel, you asked a question. I did receive it, and during the public input session, we really can't address the comments. But what I will say is, I'm happy to put this on an agenda to discuss it, and then eventually we can take some public action, yay or nay. I don't know where that'll fall, but I'm happy to put that on an agenda and start doing some work and seeing what people's thoughts are on it, and making sure it's safe, of course. But we'll look at it. So
yeah, well, we appreciate it, and if there's anything that we can do to answer questions or get this moving forward in a positive direction, we'd be glad to do so.
Thank you for your input. Is there anyone else from the public? Okay, seeing none, our next regular meeting will be September 15, 2020 at 6 p.m. It is our evening meeting, as it is the third Tuesday of the month, 6 p.m. here in the boardroom. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman,
Oh,
Doug,
sure.
about the Norwalk, Indianola.
Oh. You still want to take some of my money, Doug? Okay.
But I'm willing to give you some points. I've had a.
Oh, I'll never do that. It's probably illegal. I'll make a friendly wager with you. We'll work something out before that game because
All right.
I still have faith. So,
I do too.
all right.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, motion and a second.
All right, DeCook,
Aye.
Schultz,
Aye.
McIntyre.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for your time all. Have a good week.